Okay, in this presentation, I just wanted to give you a sense of kind of how we're moving forward in this class in the first few weeks. And I just wanted to briefly go over your first work. So I think, most of you now at this point have seen two things, right? That you needed to fill out these two diagnostics here and that you've done this work. And all you have to do is pretty simple, right? You click here, it opens up a Google form, you answer the questions, and when you push submit at the bottom of that form, I automatically get it. There's not going to be, I can't check on all of you, right? It'd be lovely if I could, but with 130 students, that would be all I would be doing. So I'd never actually get to look at your work. I'd never get you feedback. I'd never be able to make content for you. I'd just be affirming that you push submit. So rest assured, when you push submit, I get that directly to me. And in general, if you're missing something when it comes time to grade, I will let you know, and I'll give you time to finish it. This is not a punishment class. Um, I'd rather get your work. That's the goal. I like to accept your work. In fact, I have a saying, right? You can put it like Jason Leggett quote, I always accept student work. Um, so that's all I needed to say. The main thing of this is just the attendance verification. So that I know who's in this class. The other thing I hope you saw from this, though, is that we have three parts, and that's how I want you to think about this class. So the first part is thinking about cases as law. So what you're going to do is some research on an injustice, and there's going to be at least one or two cases that you're going to look at, and I'm trying to give you a context of how to think about those cases. That's because in part two, you're going to start looking at judicial interpretation. So, how do judges interpret the law in order to come up with opinions, and how does that work within the structure of the law? And then the third part will be looking at, so what did you learn? How does this tell you how you fit into this whole kind of process of judicial politics? And how does this system relate back to the criminal justice system? So, cases in law, you're basically picking an injustice group. And many of you have done this, but not as many as I would have liked. So if you're having a difficulty, these next slides are for you. Even if you've already picked your injustice group, I hope this is beneficial for you as well. But in essence, there's four options and you're gonna pick one of those options. And so, there's race, gender, ethnicity, and poverty as injustices. So you pick one of these categories, and then if you go down that group, these are your readings, right? And some of them are videos. Some of them are in the Law and Identity Reader. Some of them are like those click here kind of thing. And the idea is you'll finish these, and then there's going to be some questions for you to answer at the end. And so of our part one. And so what I'm hoping you'll do, right, like any other class, is you'll do the readings, you'll watch the videos, and you'll take good notes. And you'll kind of think about, what are the different perspectives on these different injustices. And so, all you have to do again, right, is right after that table, you're going to click here, and you're going to tell me what injustice group you're working on and why you chose it. Then you're going to go back up, right? So let's say you picked poverty, you're going to click there for the resources, and those list of things that was in that table are going to be presented to you there. So you just work your way through that. Now, some students said, when is that due? You're going to, on October 1st, you're going to have a Google form where you have to answer questions about those resources. So I'm not trying to be funny, right? But like the end of September, right? So you don't necessarily have to do it this week. You could take a few weeks. And I do that for a couple of reasons. I've taught for 11 years now at Kingsborough, and every single semester I will have working mothers who have children, right, that they have to take care of. And so I want to make sure that if you're working, if you have kids you have to take care of, if there's a family member you have to take care of, or if you get sick, or if there's a death in your family, or if there's a surprise, or any of the other things that happen in life to all of us, that you have time to do this work. Because again, it's more important to me that you do the work, and I get it, than it is for it to be due at Thursday at 2:35. So I want to just kind of reiterate that. In other words, you should try to do the readings at a reasonable pace, right? The resources should be covered in a way so that you are ready to answer the questions on October 1st. But for as far as the due date, that's it. October 1st is the due date. And in general, that's kind of how I operate. And there was a request that I put due dates on some of the other things, and I'll do that. I'll try to give you more due dates after October 1st, but I really wanted to get everybody on the same page. So hopefully every single student will have done the work, will have done the 2 diagnostics, will let me know what research group they're in, and then we'll answer these questions here by October 1st. So what you'll see is that I'm asking you, how did the legal cases apply to the injustice? What did you remember the best, right? There was like probably 9 or so different resources. Which one stuck out to you? What does that mean to you now about power? And how does that apply to the specific resources that you were looking at? What does that now say about law? What do you think about law? How does that change your perspective? Does it deepen it? Does it complicate it? And then where do you look to see power? Where did you find it? And then where do you look to see law? And then what interests you about these two things? And then finally, how do you move beyond your own opinion? How do you think about what kind of data you might want to consider, whether they're statistics, surveys, observations, laboratory studies, judicial decisions, and scholarly commentary? And especially in the YouTube videos that I made in those resources, I offer suggestions like that. So for example, in the poverty group, I just made a presentation just before this one that I suggested you might want to do interviews of other folks who come from working class backgrounds to better understand the injustices that come up as a working class person. You could also look at labor statistics online. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. And again, those questions will open up, as you hear, right, on October 1st. And then on October 15th, right, you'll see your 10 points on Blackboard in Blackboard grade. So again, I do this so that everybody kind of gets on the same page. And then hopefully by October, like between October 1st and October 15th, you'll start to feel like you have a good handle on this, especially since every class is different. And so you'll be able to see how you can manage your time with this class. And then, as you'll see, the next section then will be October 11th, and we'll go all the way to November 15th or 14th. And so that's how I'm kind of structuring this class. Again, there's 3 parts, and you'll have a lot of freedom in between. So I just want to give you one example. So if we look at racism, you've got a resource list here. I'm going to open up a Google form here that says, like, if you need more help, right, you'll answer the responses on the Google form, and then I'll get back to you if you're struggling with these resources, or if you're looking for more resources. If you said, I really liked Scott versus Sanford and the Frederick Douglass resources, is there anything else that you can give me that's similar to that? Then I can give you some more stuff. But this is like the minimum. So, I would personally just go through and go one by one, right? However, you could also think about going out of order, with the exception, obviously, is that I still have to make this one. I'm working on this one with another professor, and it's a fairly complicated project. So there might be a little delay, but that's not going to be your problem. That's going to be my problem. And so you'll see here, this is kind of the structure of how you navigate these resources. And then finally, if you're having trouble, right, if you don't understand, if you need help, that's what I'm here for. So you can email me. I prefer this address, right? Although I did mess it up here. It should be kbcc at gmail.com. And let's Zoom, right? I can Zoom with you. I'm pretty sure I could figure out Google Chat. I do have FaceTime, right? We could figure out how to talk to each other. I'd prefer to see your face because it's strange to talk to nobody as I'm doing right now. So it'd be better to see you. But if you are having trouble, right, don't be afraid to reach out. I have no problem. Last semester, we talked to lots, right? I talked to lots of students. And that's maybe one advantage of working online, is that I'm not losing 3 hours a day on the subway, right? So I have that time I can give to you. So if you have any troubles, let me know. I'd rather you do well and finish the work, um, and that we're all in this together, right? So just keep going and let me know if you need any help.